Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here in KeepCoding webinar, talking about React Native. It's a library I love so much. And so I'm web designer with 10 years of experience doing websites, applications, a lot of things. And now I'm here in Madrid working with 21 unicorns to prepare some boot camps about creation apps and creating some new apps too. We probably will release in next week. So a lot of things to do, but the most nice things are coming out in next week.
Okay. So to the people, please, any question or comments in the chat, we will share with Italo, and we hope your participation. And okay, enjoy, and okay, you are in good hands with Italo.
I'll share the screen. Okay. It's all good now?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So as you see in my webinar description, we will see how to create nice apps anywhere, everywhere using React Native. My name is Italo Brito Brasil. I'm Brazilian, and I'm a developer and UX designer too. A leader of IxDA and a full stack developer specializing in UX design and design thinking. So I love to work with apps, create nice things, and the most thing I love to do is create nice features to help people to improvement some apps, some technologies. So this is one description about myself, and it's one of my works. I am CEO from Chef, is an application I create in Brazil. It's a nice application to manage restaurants, bars, and snack bars. It's now available for Android, available for iOS too, but the main core is made in Node and React and C# too in Windows. So it's a nice app. It's a nice application. I'm a full stack developer in 21 unicorns too, and we are creating some apps for another countries and another another companies to improvement the knowledge too. So one of the applications we create now was called Mazar. It's an application for Emirates Arabs, and so nice is a company for counter extremism. So I'm really proud of this company, of this application we create, and maybe we can see some months in a public release too. And we create too a nice app called Addictive. Is an application I can show in next slides about a fashion device. So in next weeks, maybe we'll start to a public release too, and you can see the power of React Native. I'm teacher here too. I'm here in Madrid to teach about React Native. You can see some links in the last slide about this. And I'm leader too in IxDA, is a organization about experience design in Teresina, PLE. I know some Brazilians is watching now the webinar, so this is a huge point in my life too about IxDA leader. So I share you the slides with all the expertise from Brazil. Will be memes. We love memes. Memes everywhere. So let's get started. So most questions about why I need to create app with React Native is, okay, I have some language, native language, and why I need to use React Native for creating nice apps. So this is a develop dilemma we have here. So let's start to explain why I can figure out this. Our develop dilemma is we can create apps for each platform with Java for Android, with Swift for iOS, and this kind of approach to create nice apps with separate platforms and separate languages is a nice way to create, but it's complicated too because we can create a stronger, like you see in the slide, a stronger castle from features, process, interactions, this kind of things. Very nice to create, but it's hard to create too. So when your company start to grow and your company start to get more users and features, and you start to over featurize your app, you start to get problems with the cost. Sometimes the cost of developers will increase because you need iOS developer, you need Android developer, you need a web developer, someone to create the backend, someone to create the front end. So this kind of approach is hard to maintain in the beginning of the process. So for this, you have another side will be create a universal code for all the platforms. This is a nice tool, but sometimes when you use some applications, some libraries like a PhoneGap or Xamarin, to have a problem like it's hard to manage and get a cool experience in this kind of approach, because when you start to create these apps in Xamarin, PhoneGap, the experience is like I'm using a web view to create this. So get permissions from see something in camera, geolocations, or even animations from interactions is hard to do. So we can create a nice app too, but it's hard. It's very hard. The cost is totally different from create separate platforms, but it's very nice to see it, the problem with the interactions, to be things more cool and more nice. So this is the problem now. The most developers have the front when start to ask about, okay, React Native is application to create universal code for all the platforms, but it's really nice, create nice apps with React Native. Or I will create a silly app with React Native. So the question is, each platform we need to put in question, because sometimes they simply don't fit well in your project. It's like I have Java. Java is a great language, but most of the times Java is a language you don't use too much. It's like you're picking a gun and putting to an ant. You using too much power for a small thing, or sometimes you get the wrong gun to kill someone, something or like this. You need to choose your skills. You need to choose your gun, your armor, and the best way to create nice things. So this is the really meaning of the things. You need to choose well, because when you start to grow, to have a problems with this uh, is a mess to change. In Brazil, when I start to create Chefy, I figure out a problem. It will be like I pass 1 year coding Java, and after this, I'm start to having problems with UI, because Java is a nice application for security, but it's a worse application for UI. So to improve this, I found C Sharp. It's a great, nice language to do this, but some problems with UI, some problems in another kind of application in Java making me change to C Sharp. So I spent too much time changing all the code, all the bases from Java to C Sharp, and get the core of the application and changing to Node.js. So I make this, and for this reason, I know this choose nice languages is it's a basis from create some nice apps. So let's talk about our champion. Let's talk about React Native. So in these next slides, I'll talk about what it does nice things in React to be a great programmer. You'll be a great language too, like some features, and so trying to convince you to explain and try to use React Native. So the benefits of to use React Native. This is some net information. So the React Native teaches us how to use more declarative code. I'll talk about more this later. And we have a JS bridge. JS bridge is a JS core, generates the JS code we programming, and generates native functions. That's the nice things in React. you don't need to create JS code and compile in JS. It will be compiled in JS, but in real time, the JS core, the JS bridge, will transpile this code and generate native functions. So you will see some components like a button, like a text input, like a scroll view. In Android, it will be a native scroll view. And iOS will be a native iOS component too. So that's the nice things of the React Native. Mostly 95% of the components can be reusable and will be native. So it's very, very nice. You can use the React in Node environment. So much nice too, because Node you have the npm, a lot of models to manage data, to manage informations, to UI, to core informations. Is so nice. So you can use the Node models to create this, and even the React environment you can create some nice things too, like navigations, like components, like conciliations about React on. It's a nice thing to see it too. We work in atomic design too in React. Is a concept about create small pieces of your code about your UI and separate in components and atoms and this kind of things to grow more fast and reusable your application using components. You have the JX language. Is like HTML, like when you start to write your components, not you writing Java components, you're writing like HTML components. It's very nice because you start to merge the HTML with the JavaScript too. Is another huge point about React. To have the interaction speed grows because you're working with hot reloading. So when you make some changes in some components, automatically the application will reload to see the result. So you increase your speed too, using this feature about hot reloading. And one of the nicest things in React Native will be the Flexbox API. Flexbox API allow us to use CSL and use the flex concept to create nice views with auto height, width, and manage all the components like a cool feature of the CSS and HTML. So you can use these features in app tools and apps using React Native. So this is some net information. I know it is so nice to see, so nice to know, but to convince your boss to use React Native, there is some nice and more easy ways to know, like some boss information here, like what React Native can do for our team or our companies. Uh, React Native can allow us to move more faster as company, as organization. So as example, um, here in 21 Unicorns, we create an addictive app, and we improved too much things in 3 months. 3 months. I'm here in Madrid, so we start to create the new version of Addict in 1 month and a half, and you can see the difference of creating someone with React, and you can feel the growth of the web. You can see the scale of the growth of the web. So it's very nice. You can understand very well. You don't need to create a feature in Android and wait. Oh, I need to wait to create another feature in iOS and then release a new version. You need to create one feature in Android. After this, you need to create one feature in React, by the way. And after this, you can compile it, test it. If all is good, you can release for Android and iOS both. You can maintain the qualitative bar of your native because React compiles this JS code and process this bundle, and which time you need to handle some components, you handle a native component in a native functions. So this is so nice. when you start to write a product, you only need to write once and compile in all the platforms. So you don't need to make code twice. This is a huge difference to when using native components. You use native programming. Uh, you can improve your experience as developer too, because when you start to grow, the application is so hard to maintain when you start to grow like a Swift developer and Android developer too. We start to very focus in some features like, oh, okay, I'm Android developer. I need to focus in create nice features only in Android. So I've seen some libraries to do this, like a knife to manage components, manage states. Another library is like Flutter. You can see like a native things too. So you start to get so focused in Android and forgot another language, another features. So you can maintain the quality of the products, because when you start to grow in Node, you can create a server, a REST API running in Node.js with Express, and the same kind of knowledge you can use in your application in React Native. And the same knowledge too you can use in a web application only with React. So it's pretty fun to code. It's pretty nice to code too. So I'm trying to explain some features now about React. One of them is the bridge concept. What is the bridge concept? The bridge concept is like some of this. You have the meme now. Uh, you see the JS code in one hand of SpongeBob. You need to see a native code in one hand, another hand of SpongeBob. So in the middle, you see the bridge JS code. So what happened here? You can see the JS code passing for this bridge of JS core, and this JS core will transpile these functions, transpile all the code you write in Node.js, you write in JavaScript, and translate this for native functions and run this in your thread. So you have two threads in React Native, a main thread and a JS core thread. So you can run this thread and see what's happened with the code. And you have the main thread running the native code, the native functions, seeing the states, and the JS core will be translate this in real time when you're trying to run your code and see your bundle and compile this, see what's the results, get this result, and turn on in a native code. It's pretty fun too. It's pretty nice to understand. So Italo, you're talking about a lot of things nice, a lot of cool features, but I need to see something real. I need to see something really running to know what, how can I see the power of the React Native. So one of the showcase of us, this app called Addicted. I'm showing now. You can see some features like activity feeds like Instagram, like a Facebook. You can see some animations like when I try to like one picture, I go to profiles, I go to advice. This is the main core of that Addicti. So you see a fluid transition. You can see the states changing, the new pages. It all looks like a nice features, a native features. So it's the pretty fun. This is nice fun to do. You can see some transitions about full screen, not full screen views. You see some nice transitions. In all of these transitions, since native is not like a shimmering, is not like a web view. It's native. You can see the transition of this card, a card. You see a lot of nice features. So these all create with the React Native. I create these features, these functions using only React Native in no three libraries. Oh, by the way, I'm using all my code. So the transitions I make with my code, the animations of the card discarding we made with my code. This is pretty nice and nice things to do. So the server is running with Node.js and Express, Socket, IO to make real-time transitions, real-time communication. So the application will be running with the React Native and communication with the server, trying to make this fluid transition is so nice. Is a nice app to show and see the power of the React Native. I have here too some features like importing from Instagram, get a picture from Instagram, posting Addicti. You see the dialogues, you see the transition, the spinners loading. All the features seem so native is made with React Native. You see the animation of the heart jumping in the view. It's a pretty nice, it's pretty fun to create these views. You have here too nice feature. I love this feature is a dark mode from Addicti, so you can swipe the from light from dark mode. It's a pretty fun. This is a nice feature too. All our users like this to change the mode. You can change to the translation of the app because to grow sometimes it's hard to see the power of the translations. Uh, See some code in Portuguese, some code, some text in Spanish, some good text in English too, and you need to change this text for the device. So my device is in English, how you can see here, and I change to wait. I change my text here is default. My device is English, so it's English. So I change to Spanish, and all the texts in the application will change to Spanish too. So this is a pretty fun feature and pretty nice feature too to create. So it is not so hard to do. We can create with React Native, and we create by myself. It's not hard to think, not to do, and don't need to turn liberty to do this. So some companies using the React and the React Native. So you have the React basis about Amazon, Atlassian, who is the owner of Bitbucket, the Netflix environment too, using a lot of the libraries using React too. It creates nice feature, nice libraries to use with React too, like Redux Observable, were created by developers from Netflix. So nice. We have Code Academy, Dropbox, PayPal, Facebook, Mapbox, Spotify. A lot of companies create nice things with React. So this is pretty fun. This is pretty nice. So if you want to know more about the companies using React to see more about this, you can see this link. Is open. You can see. You can submit. So you can make a pull request to create some app and put in this link too. It's pretty fun. It's pretty nice. So let's get started. I'll try to show you a little about some nice features. I try to convince you to use React this since the beginning. So now I will try to convince you some nice features, and you need to know, and it's nice to know when you start to get started with React Native. So the beginning is the declarative code against the imperative code. If you are a developer from JavaScript or another kind of language like a C or C++ or these kind of things, and you start to know now about some language like JavaScript, another ones like Go, another ones like um, C# or something like this. Sometimes maybe you can create some codes, imperative codes. And what this meaning like the imperative programming is like I need to teach the computer how to make my job or how make the job. Like I need to run array and get a value, so I need to teach the machine how to do this. This is imperative code. So against this, we have the declarative code. So you need only like it's like I'm talking with you now. So I can say like, okay, you can get this array and this list of elements and try to get me this element. It's like I'm saying now. You don't need to teach the machine how to do this. You need to only to put a command and say like, I need only this condition and try to get this. Is a pretty fun function concept in React. And React teaches us to use more about these features when start to programming with React and React Native. So to teach more about this, I have this. So this graph I told about people, about apps, and about hardwares. One of these apps, one of the people is the center, is the first circle in the blue. And in the middle, we have the apps, and the last circle, we have the hardwares. So what's the concept with this? The people is the center of our product or our services. So when we start to create something here, we need to start to think in the people, not thinking in apps, not thinking in hardwares. Our apps is it's a middleware between hardwares and people. So you never try to convince a guy or a user, your app, you need to flow this way because this way is a right way to my app. You need to think, I'm creating app not to hardwares. I'm creating apps for people. So this is the meaning of the programming, the meaning of the UX kind of knowledge. You need to thinking in people. So your app is a middleware between hardwares and people. So how much declarative your app will be, more nice will be your results. You can grow more fast. You can teach more people about. It's not like a teach it, by the way. It's not like a the users will use the flow, the correct flow, because the correct flow will be an like a human sense. It's like it's not a problem because the user will be see clarity like a crystal. So let's talk about some about components. Components is the main core about React in React Native. So what is the component? Components is the object, it's the classes we create to communicate our programming to generate the visual components. So in this example, I create a component called it stars. This component have a view inside who compiles, who generate these stars. You can see in result in the right. So this result to be 5 stars. It depends of the rate of these stars. You can see the stars red or black. The black ones is disable stars, and the red ones will be the select rates. So you can press in the last stars in the final and make some action. When this action maybe will change the value of the rate, and when this rate change the colors too. This a pretty basic component, and this is a stateless component. You don't have the state inside of the component. You have only props. Props is another subject of components. You have states and props. So this is a basic component to create. Is an easy way to create, and you can reuse this component in each view you want. I need this view in like Uber. When you finish your when you finish your ride, you need to evaluate the driver. So you can use this component to evaluate. So you can use this component to show in the profile how be the rent rate in for the driver. So it's a nice thing too. So you can create this. Is not hard to do. Is a nice thing, and using a declarative code too. So if you can see, you're not teaching the machine how to create the component. You say like, okay, I need to five elements in this array. I need to see if this point of this array is less than the rate I can pass in the props. If you do this, okay, change the color. Only this. So it's nice. So talking about more about props. In components, we have this props. Props is a a parameter we pass in between a instance of a component. So when you create this, you can see these props as a not bootable value. This value is not changing, not changing by the component. You instance this value. So when you try to do this, it's like okay, I have this like a button. This like a button is only to see me if I have liked it or not a publication, a picture, or something like this. Can be everything. So when I extend this component like here in in both here, I have like it button like it true. So I calling I stance of this like it button and asking, okay, if this props like it would be true, show the taste like it. So if not like it, show the taste not like it. So this value is not changed. I can change this value in my component, my liked boot component. I need to set a state to change this component. So in the next slide, I can show you more about this. So here I have the imperative and declarative code. So this is what I'm talking about. I have here the imperative code. It's like I need to write in an array to see a value. If a value is an even number, I put in an array. So I can use this array like to display even numbers. So in the first example, in the imperative example, I have here a for. So I stance a variable called I and put a 0. And if I would be less than array length, I would be increase the value of I. So I get the element in the array from the I variable. I get the element and see if this is even or odd, and if it is even, I put in the array. So you see the complexity of the code. I need to teach the machine how to do this. It's not a pretty cool way to do. So the nice way to do is a declarative way. So you can get this constant array and get this array. I need to filter only by even. It's like this. You don't need to think too much and teach machine how to do this. You need to put on the conditionals and get this. You can get the even numbers and display how you want. Here in this example, it's so nice because you can see how many lines you can decrease from your code. It's a refactoring concept. You can decrease so much your number of your code your code lines. So if you want to use how much you can the declarative code is a pretty nice. So do we have here another way to show how I use the declarative programming in React. So I have here a component called online users. This component probably I use to show in a chat or in a main view of the chat. So I can get this component and show the users online, and I can click maybe and open the screen to start a chat, stuff like this. So here I get the items, or be the users, all the users, online or offline. And I filter all users only by status, call it online. So I show only the online users and put in a users variable, it will be an array. And now I get this array and map in a new elements and create a new field with the image and a text displaying the name of the user. This is pretty nice because it's so easy to do. You can understand very well too. You don't need to get too much code. You don't need to get so much time trying to learn the basics of the logic of this kind of things, or more deeper logic. You only need to read. I filter some items by status online, okay, and I map this so I get new views and I show image in a text. This is nice. This this is the correct way to do. And I can prove this more, create another component, call it user, and make this. So this is a pro tip. If you want to do this, do it like this. It will be so much nice and so more clear to see. I have a user component, and I can use this component in other places. I can use this component in a list item. I can use this in a toolbar item to display some information too. I can use in another place. So I'm reusing this component. So it's more clear, more nice, more reusable. So this is the right way to use. Well, we talk about now about the virtual DOM from React. What is the virtual DOM? Virtual DOM is a concept. We can say something like this. We have the virtual DOM and the app DOM or the browser DOM. And this DOM is the object mapped, can manipulate the objects in your screen. So you can get this DOM and create a new element or get an element and change this element and render again in the view. So what the virtual DOM does, when you start to use React have some virtual DOM, and this process is called reconciliation. What reconciliation does? They compares the virtual DOM with the real DOM of the browser or of the app. And when you do this, the virtual DOM see the change of the component, like a like button I showed you before. So if this button changed by click or something like this, the virtual DOM see this change and compares with the real DOM. So if this DOM don't have the updates yet, so the virtual DOM force the update in browser DOM or app DOM. So they state change. So they feel the change, state this, compute the difference between one component or one tree of components, because virtual DOM is like a tree of components. So you have your main hierarchy of the view, all views, and you have the list, you have the items of the list, and you have a button here. So if only this button change, the virtual DOM will see the difference in all the components and change only the button. So it's pretty nice because to have a nice speed increment, because you don't need to wait the all renders, because you need to render only one component, will be the button component. And you have a speed too in this compute because you don't need to, it's not the real DOM, it's a virtual DOM. So this DOM don't compile, don't render elements. It's only to see the difference. So this is one of the cores. And now in the React 16, or it was the 16 version, will be now a feature called Fiber. Fiber is a new object in the reconciliation concept, and they helps to get more information about the dots of the tree in virtual DOM, and this can help us to increase more the speed of render components in React. And we have here too the Flexbox API is a feature from CSS, and we can use this too in React Native in React too. So what is this Flexbox API? So I have an example here, some rectangles and circles here. I have a component called circle. In this component circle, I have some CSS. It's like this. It's only CSS to style a view component. So I put here a width like a 64, a width called 64, a border radius to make the circle, and a background. And I set a default props in the parameters from the function will be a component. So in this default props, I put a default color will be red. So if I don't put a color here, the color will be by default red. So I personalize this with the CSS. In all components, I can personalize with CSS. It's pretty fun because You don't need to learn more about this. Only wait to if you have a background with CSS or a background with HTML, you can program in React in React Native. So this is nice. We have a question here about seared vcat. You should just use the array constructors and provide a length. Yeah, this example I use, I can use with the array length, but I can use too with the array reply. For me, it's more have more speed when I use the array reply. But you can use with the providing a length too in the array constructor. So this example I using to create those two cycles, one red and one blue. And by default, the flex will be like this, will be one and another above. But I can make this with flex direction and make the components once side by side. This is nice. But I can increase more the features and make something with flex and get the size of each element and put one and like a 50% for each one. So it will be more or less like this. But I can increase more and centralize all the components and make this. So the components will be automatically centralized and will be organized like this. And I put some colors to see it. So you can see the difference between using flex and non-using flex. But maybe you can ask me like, okay, this is a cool example, but I need to see a real life example. So this is a real life example. It's like I'm showing like was like a chat example. So I can configure the first view like a toolbar to see the username from the user. I can configure the second element, the scroll view, to see the messages from this chat. So I use flex1 to get all the high of the view, and I will push the another views. We don't have flex. We have the flex parameter. So I push this and get all the id, and another components will get the difference between the all width I get and show only the out width of the component. So this view is called like a chat view. So I have above the text input to write something. So the the view in the center, the scroll view in the center, we get most 8 because they have the flex one, and this is a cool way to do this. And CSS before release the Flexbox Victory, we need to calculate this with percents. It's not so easy to do. It's not so. Excuse me. Sorry, it's not so easy to do this. So do this with Flexbox so nice, and we can get this and put inside of applications too. So how can I start? How can I start with the React Native? I need to know more about this kind of things you show me is nice things to do, but how can I manage this? How can I can start with this? So I can get nice links here. So the first two ones will be the React basics about the library, how to use React, how to know about state and props, how to manage this, how to use the framework about React Native too, because sometimes people have some confusion about React and React Native, and you need to see the documentation about React Native and about React too, because sometimes it's something works different. React is only a library, and React Native is a framework, so it's a difference. The meaning of the React is only create UIs, but React Native is a framework to create apps. So you have a lot of tools to create apps, and you have this awesome React Native. The awesome React Native site is like a repository of a lot of tools, news, a lot of the information about React and React Native. So you can see modules, you can see libraries, you can see tutorials, some videos, webinars, a lot of course. You can see all the things in this site. Is a super nice site. This library called React Navigation is a nice library to start to. We use it in Addict to convince people, to not convince people, sorry, to use to navigate between screens. So I have the profile screen, I have detail screen, chat screen, login screen. So sometimes using the main library from the main component from React Native, sometimes it's hard to do this. So the most nice things to do is get this library, and works like a component too. So you create a stake library or a stake navigation or a tab bar navigation, and works natively too. You see the difference between iOS and between Android too. The toolbars, the navigation, the transitions will be native, so it's nice. So after this, what I can learn more about this. So after this, maybe you can use Redux library to manage states. You can manage different states in application in one way only. So you don't need to spend a lot of time passing objects by props or managing the states in one component and get this function passed for another component to change another component. So you can use Redux to manage the states and do this in one flow only. This is super nice. And we have Redux Observable. Redux Observable will be created by Netflix engineers. It's a way to manage the states of the Redux like a flow, like a stream. So you can stop threads, you can stop promises, you can get information and transform this information in another Redux action. Is unbelievable. Is super nice. So you can use Redux Observable too. So if even with this information to have some doubts about React and React Native, you can text me. My Instagram, Facebook, all my social networks will be Italo de Verdade. You can follow me in Instagram. I create some contents in Instagram. I create some contents in my YouTube channel too. Call it the code. So you can create some. You can follow me and see some things. And you can text me in my email too, italodeverdade, gmail.com, and see what happens. So now we have time for some questions. If you want to make some question, you can describe here in the comments of the webinar or in the YouTube or wherever you are. You can describe some doubts or questions, and I will answer. Now I have here some questions. How are you going to speak in PTBR? Yeah, maybe here I'm talking more in English because my presentations will be for Spanish people and tech people from Brazil, not tech people from Brazil. It's more tech people from Spain and people from another countries. So it's more nice here talk in English, not only in Portuguese, but I can talk in English in Portuguese too sometimes. I have another presentations too. Maybe I can talk in more in Spanish or more talking in Portuguese. Uh, in 15 of the next month, I have a presentation in Spanish startups. If you want to know about, you can follow Spanish startups in Instagram and also search in the LinkedIn or in the website to see the events and see more information about Spanish startups. Victor told you happy to succeed in Spain. We did some projects together in the past, and man knows about his JavaScript. Uh, Thanks, Vito. Vito is a Brazilian guy who works with me, and we have helped me to grow the community in JavaScript on my city and my state. He's a very nice guy. So that's it. I think if you want to know something more, if you want to taste it, we have 7 minutes. So if you want to ask, you can ask.
Italo, hello, how are you?
Hello.
So nice to see you, and thank you for this webinar that was so awesome. I learned a lot about you. And it's
Thanks.
also awesome that you're gonna be here at the 15th of November, right?
Yeah.
With the Spanish startups.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a question that is, I have a question for somebody that knows React well enough. What is the most significant difference between it and React Native?
The difference between React and React Native.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, React is only a library. It's like the difference between libraries and frameworks. Like the libraries have one meaning only. It's like okay, this library works to create views. So if I want to create a view like a chat view or create something like a user profile, I use React to do this. But React Native is a framework. Frameworks have another meaning. Is a is a mix of tools. Like imagining you have a lot of libraries working in one framework. So I have a tool here to manage geolocation. I have another tool to manage a camera. Another tool to storage information in my device, like a sync storage, or get contests and change this contest between screens. So these different meanings or subjects inside of React Native is the meaning of framework. It's not one on meaning only. You can use React Native for a lot of things. Like I can use React Native to create apps, to create games, to create a lot of things different. It's not only to create one thing specifically like React. React was created to create views, only this. So React Native have tools to create another things like games, apps, or some other tools, or another, or if you even want to create another library to React Native, you can do this too.
Awesome. Sorry to interrupt. My name is Maya. I'm a event manager at KeepCoding. I'm work with Santiago, the guy that introduced you in this webinar. So sorry that I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. So I'm
Yeah,
here.
no problem.
So if you have any questions, or even though if you have like some comments, you can do it on our YouTube chat that is right here. So we can send then all the questions and comments to Italo. There's another question here, Italo,
Yeah.
and it says, "What would you recommend to know before starting React Native?" Sorry.
What I recommend to study before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The nice thing I thought about studying before is you need to know some things about HTTP protocols. You need to know some HTML, CSS, some the basics of the web. Because React is the basis core will be a web core. So you need to know about protocols. You need to know how works HTML, how works device, how works browsers, this kind of things, to know more how to create nice things too. Because some developers from desktop applications don't know about verbs, maybe. It's like I can create something, send a request to a database and storage this in the database. But when you work with React, maybe you want to create a RESTful API. You need to know about protocols. You need to know how to make a good structure about your HTML files. It will be components in React. So you need to know more about this. So for me, the basis will be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, the basis of JavaScript, like a common JavaScript, and HTTP protocols like post, get, and how it works.
other question that is right here, Fabrizio, this is React Native open source?
Yeah, React is open source, is a MIT license, but React Native is open source too, but is another different license. So it's like you can use to create everything you want. It's not a problem. It's open source. The community on GitHub is huge. You can see a lot of people helping React Native to grow, but it's not MIT license yet. So it's another license. It's like you have this license, but Facebook does some limitations. Like I can create an app like Facebook with likes, with lives. The look and feel and the features don't need to be like a Facebook, because maybe you get some problems with Facebook if you do this. But if you want to use like a Uber, like a Uber Eats, like a Netflix, like another meaning of app, is not a problem. You can use as well. So it's open source. You can use and release at everyone, and it's not a problem to use. Maybe you need to watch the license to see what you can do, what you cannot do. But the meaning is open source.
Awesome. Another question.
Yeah.
It is, under what circumstances do you prefer to use React instead of other technology like Angular or Vue?
Okay. This I answered some friends in some months ago in Brazil.
Mhm.
I have a friend who use Vue.js. Is a nice library too. Another friend use Angular too. But the question is, I'm was a design thinker too. So I'm working with design UIs in Sketch, or trying to create a nice experience too in my applications. When I try to use another libraries as Vue or Angular, I have some problems to understand as designer what I'm doing, because the concept of React is a concept called atomic design. You can search the guy who make the question can search about this atomic design. The atomic design is like to have the you can think like WhatsApp message WhatsApp,
Mhm.
and when you have inside of a message group something like this, you have a lot of components, but these components together make another component. We call in atomic design, uh, we have the atoms, and together we have a environment, and after this environment we can create another component and grow this until create a page. So this concept is awesome to create applications, because you can reuse these components. You can create some views and some small, great, mediums, and big components using this concept. Is for designer is awesome to understand. Is awesome to know about it like a developer. When you start to thinking like a React help you to think, you can understand very well the designer's process, the components process, and it's more easy to talk with designers. It's more easy to talk with people. It's more too easy to talk with everyone. So it's like it's a how can I say? It's a divergent library. You can make this, and designers will understand, and developers will understand, and user will understand. For me, it's the main core of the React, and the declarative code too, the JXX, and this way to create the components.
Awesome. There's a lot of questions here going on. We are so glad that you're still with us in this webinar. Other
Yeah.
question.
Oh,
Go, go, go. Okay. Can I use native code in React Native?
yeah, of course. We call it extensive React Native.
Okay.
So you like Addictive. I show. I can go back here and show. is effect here to change the color, the context. Make a native code in Android, because in Android we have the toolbar, the status bar, and navigation bar. In the new ones will be the black part with the triangle, circle, square. This part in React Native, I can change the color. So for me, it's nice to have a cool application. We change all the colors to be more nice. So I make my own module in Android, and I call the native bridge, and send this code to my native bridge. So with this native code, I can use my native code in JavaScript, and when I call it by my JS core, and render a native function or a native component. In this example, it's not a component view; it's only a function. So when I call it in JS, I call it to a native component, a native function in Android, and this function change the color for me in Android. So I can use native code in React Native.
Awesome. Victor Cortez says, all right, so is React Native basically a superset of React or includes React on another APIs?
Yeah, includes React in another APIs. It's like you can use Reactive only if you want to generate views, but to increase I need to navigate between one screen and another screen. So I need to use React Native for this, because this functionality is from React Native. It's not from React. React is only to render the components. So it's like this. People from Facebook wants to create something to universal codes. So they see it in React too much value, because React now have like I think was 5 or 4 years old, and people see value in React. So it's easy to know, easy to create, and easy to understand how to create views. So how can I create a nice framework to create universal apps? So we can use React. So they get React concept, join with the another tools like a navigation, geolocations, async storage, is this kind of things, and put inside of React Native. So React Native is a React with another tools.
Awesome. Another question. Anon ask differences between React Native and Xamarin.
So Xamarin is a framework from Windows, from people from Windows, from Microsoft, and there is some difference, because in Xamarin is like I think Slack use Xamarin, but they changed for React Native, I think so, because Xamarin is compiled by C#. They have the C# concept, and I think they changed is not a transpiler like JavaScript. So they use the C sharp core to change the components too. I don't know very well about the speed of the Xamarin, but I think JavaScript have more speed, because it's more nice to understand the process about Node, and the machine can learn more, and it's not a huge virtual machine like a C#. So is for me is a nice approach. But I don't know very well about Xamarin, but I know some applications do some things in Xamarin, but it's not like React Native.
Even though in our platform that we got all our courses, we got a little bit of info about Xamarin if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
I will send it to you.
Yeah.
And the last question, Italo. When would you see Redux in application and when not?
Can you repeat, please?
When will, says right here, when would you use Redux in an application and when not?
Okay. I'm using Redux to manage my states in Addicti. Like, okay, I have the navigation animation, this not animation, the transition about one screen to another, and I want to know, by the way, uh, my location at the moment to, I don't know, to show something. So I use Redux to get this state. In each component, I can merge this functionality of Redux, connect this component with my Redux store, and I can list these changes. So if I was going the chat view, start to taste with someone, and another friend sent me a message to like, okay, Italo, I need your help, and I need to show a notification in my app, like a red notification in the front of my app. So if it was in the same chat, I don't need this. So in my component, I can connect with my Redux store and see it if I have a new message, but this message is from the same view, from my chat view. I don't need to show the push notification. I only need to append the notification in my list of messages, so I can manage this with Redux. Or I have some configurations storage in my application, like the logged user, my dark mode or my light mode, my translation. What to be my translation will be Portuguese, English, or Spanish. I need to get these informations in all application. So each component, like a component to show the date, this component needs to know, but I need to storage this in one place, in one store, and connect with this Redux store and with these components and manage these things. So I get all these informations inside of my device when I change this information, store in my Redux stores, and start to manage this in all components. So I use for a lot of things. In Redux, we call dump components and smart components. The smart components have these managing properties. Like I can get the components, get this information, store inside this component, and change in real time when I'm using the component. So I can use this with Redux. So basically, I use Redux for change storage informations, to manage push notifications, to navigate between screens, to basically to this. And when I have someone's views, like message views or advice views or profile views, I using only states and props from the same component.
Okay. Italo, it was so good to meet you, and thank you for your time, of everything we learned tonight. And your presentation was so awesome. I love it.
Yeah, so many memes.
Yeah, it's so many.
Yeah.
Even though I want to say hi to everyone that joining us to this webinar, and also asking me here at the YouTube channel that are we playing Halloween Kahoot now? No, we're not. Sorry. Just most of the time we play Kahoot at our webinars, but today we're not. Sorry, but I promise you that in the next webinar we'll do that. So Italo, please remind us all your social media where we can look more of your stuff, and also that
Okay.
you're gonna be here in Spain soon. So tell us about it, that everyone
Okay.
like should know.
Okay. If you want to find me, there's my Instagram, Facebook, all my social networks. The username will be Italo de Verdade. So you can find me in every social networks with this username. Now in yesterday we have a sorteo here to make 2 tickets for our next boot camp. So if you want to get free participate of this, you can use this link in the screen. And I'm here in Spain until 12th of December, but probably I go back to know about Madrid. I'm loving Madrid. Madrid is a nice city. I really fall in love for Madrid. But if you want to know about this, you can share this in 50. in next month, I have a meeting in Spanish startups. I have another one in Google Campus. I have another one in another two in universities here too. So if you want to be connected with this, you can follow me in the social medias and ask me more about, because I'm always posting information about my presentations here. So that's all.
Well, Italo, thank you for everything. Hope to meet you here when you came to Madrid. It will be so nice.
Yeah.
And right now I have to talk in Spanish, so sorry.
Okay, no
So,
problem.
gracias chicos por acompañarnos esta noche. Bueno, la próxima semana comenzamos desde cero, por si no sabían. Ustedes van a decir, ¿pero qué es de cero? Sí, vamos a empezar a estamos haciendo diferentes workshops, tanto presencial y online. Por si ustedes conocen a personas que quieran aprender a programar, pues sí, comenzamos desde cero. A partir del 5 y el 6 vamos a hacer workshops presenciales de 3 horas. Bueno, uno de 3 horas, el 5 es en Spaces y el otro, el 6, es en The Virtual City. Vamos a hacer workshops para que ustedes aprendan a crear su primera línea de código, ya que tenemos el lanzamiento de Bootcamp 0, que lo tenemos el 7 de noviembre por si nos quieren acompañar. Y también si ustedes dicen, no podemos ir, Mae, porque tenemos mucho trabajo, no pasa nada, vamos a tener un workshop en online el 13 de noviembre. Ahí vamos a también hacer 3 horas a puro código y eso también se va a repetir el 21 de noviembre. Toda la info a través de www.keepcoding.io. Fue un gusto, un honor. Pasen muy buena noche. Feliz Halloween. Happy Halloween. Italo, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay, bye guys.